All right, everyone, welcome to another episode. I am your man, Corp J, and thank you all for joining me today. I've got a good one for you, and it's a topic that I've been meaning to talk about for a long time, and we're going to be talking about why you should never move to Africa. Don't move to Africa until you've heard what I'm about to tell you. I am going to give you the blueprint that you need to have when considering moving to Africa. I'm going to tell you things that no one has ever told you before. And most of you who are making the trip to Africa, or at least considering going to Africa, are listening to people that are giving you wrong information and people that have a vested interest. And when I mean vested interest, it's a trendy topic and they are needing to really build their YouTube views. And more importantly, these people are here in the United States. They haven't moved to Africa. Okay, you're listening to people that go and visit once in a while and have never moved there or lived there for an extensive amount of time. And they'll tell you to move to Africa. And I've listened to a lot of these people and they are failing to tell you critical things about that whole move to Africa. And I'm going to tell you all today. I'm going to give you the blueprint. Now, why am I the expert on this? Why am I qualified to talk about this? Let me tell you why. I was born on the continent. Okay? I'm a proud Nigerian. And I'm also a U.S. citizen. And I have the best of both worlds. That means I have experienced the culture of Africa. There is no one country in Africa that I can go to and really kind of blend right in. There's no one country. Because the good thing about being or coming from a country in Africa is that once you are born on the continent, you can assimilate anywhere, because most African countries have what's called universal culture. Okay, like I know, for example, if I go to Kenya or Ethiopia or Ghana or go and live in any of these countries, I know that I'm not going to shake anyone with my left hand. That is a universal thing. You know, it's a universal thing. That's a cultural thing that most people know in Africa. While our cultures might be different in many other ways, but those things are similar. You're not going to shake anyone with your left hand, think that it's all going to be good. It's not going to work. You know, I know that I would need to address my elders with sir and ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I know that is something that I'm going to have to do. It's a cultural thing. And if I want to marry someone in Africa, I know it's a cultural thing. I need to go talk to their parents and ask for permission, right? So there are things that are similar and there are things that are different depending on the country you come from. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is that here in the United States, I've lived in this country. I know the struggles that black people go through in this country, which is mostly the reason why many of you are trying to go to Africa, which is a just cause, right? Your reason for wanting to move out of the West and go to Africa is a just cause, which is primarily because of the racial tension and racism you face in this country. I get it. I go through it every day. Trust me. I'm sick of it. As I'm sat here, I'm telling you right now that I have a date. Even I have a date. I have an exit date where I'm moving back to my home country. There's no amount of thing that's going to stop that from happening. I look forward to that date. And I've been on what I'm about to share with many of you right now. I've been on this plan for a while. Understand that your move to Africa is a 10-year plan. Okay, if no one has told you this, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a 10-year plan. See, a lot of you have been moving because of the trend, the knee-jerk thing you're hearing from a lot of these people who have a vested interest, and they're not in Africa, they live here, telling you to go over there. Right? It's going to be a 10-year plan, and I'm going to tell you why that is. There are only two groups of people that can do this in 5 years. One of which is your retirees, those that are 60 and above, 65, who are retiring in Africa, that have Social Security. They paid into the system for years, and they're now on Social Security income. They can move to Africa in 5 years. Because they have money coming in, and you're going to need to have a steady stream of income. I've talked about this in my previous videos. If you go to Africa, you're going to need to have money coming in. Okay? So that's one aspect. The other aspect would be your military veterans. Okay? Anyone who has served in the military and has retired from the military and wish to go to Africa to go live, that will be another person, because they have, their retirement check coming to them. So those are the two people that can do it in 5 years. For the rest of us, it's a 10-year plan, and I'm going to break it down here for you why that is. So let's get into this, because I've got a lot to go over. And I don't want this video to be a long video, but please pay attention, because I'm going to give you the lay of the land. You're going to hear from this video. This is going to be a blueprint for most of you. You're going to need to refer back to this video time and time again as the years go by. Right? So I'm going to tell you what you need to watch out for. So, okay. So first things first. If you've decided that Africa is where you want to go to, and I'm saying you have decided, because while Africa is for everyone, right? Not everyone is going to see Africa for them. Okay? While Africa is a viable option for everyone, not everyone is going to choose Africa for themselves. And that's okay, right? Because ever since the dawn of civilization, people have moved around from places to places, right? So it's okay if Africa isn't your cup of tea. That's fine. For those of you who are having the yearning to go to Africa, you know that it's been tugging at you. You can't shake it off. You want to go to Africa. You want to move for reasons that I talked about early on, which is because you want to be around people that look like you. You want to experience what it's like to wake up every morning and not have to defend your blackness. You see people that look like you. No one is looking at you funny. No one is judging you based on how you talk. No one is judging you based on the color of your skin. No one is judging you based on your background. You want to experience that, which is a beautiful thing. Trust me. I've experienced this. And if you want to experience that and you know that this is something that you want to do, pay attention, because this is a video for you. Okay. So if that's you, here's what you're going to need to do, because I'm going to teach you how to save the money for Africa. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do from now to the next 10 years. See, I've been on this now for a couple of years. I have an exit date. So some of you might just decide that I want to go to Africa. Okay. We're not going to go based on the knee-jerk reaction, right, that we've seen over the years, the year of the return, all of that. No, we're going to use logical thinking. And we're going to talk about this whole thing logically. Okay, so if you decided that you are the one, there's two things that I'm going to need you to put behind and set aside and just drop while you're considering your way to Africa. You're going to need to leave these things behind if you're going to succeed in Africa. One of which is going to be hard for mostly African Americans, right? And that is, you're going to need to put away the European mindset. The European thinking. You're going to need to do away with that. And what is that European thinking? The European thinking is saying, essentially, I am better than you. I'm here to save you. I'm your superior. I know more than you. See, when you go to Africa, Africa doesn't need you. You need Africa. You're going to need to put that away. Because that is that type of mindset that you were born into. And that's why it's going to be hard for a lot of African Americans especially to peel away from that, because you were born into that system. And that's all you've known all your life, right? And you're going to need to pull that away. Because I will tell you right now that Africa does not need you. You need Africa for a lot of things, for healing, for prosperity, and I'm going to go into all of that, and for wholeness. Okay. The other thing that you're going to need to put aside and get rid of is the need to chase up trends. Okay? The need to chase trends has been the one single thing that have kept black people in the hole. Let me explain what I'm talking about. See, trend chasing, as the name suggests, has always been a seasonal thing. No successful person in history will tell you that they made their wealth or gained their wealth by chasing trend. No established person will tell you that they arrived at where they are today because they were chasing trend. The only group of people that have always done this are black people, which is why black folks have remained at the bottom. See, chasing trend is what keeps you broke. And I'm going to give you examples. As most of you know, my day ones, I don't say things without giving you facts and references to what I'm saying. I'm going to give you two examples. And I'm going to stay away from the third one because I don't want to lose you in this video. Okay. 2 examples of black folks chasing trend that have kept black folks poor till today. One of which was a subprime mortgage. The subprime mortgage that caused global recession in the United States, right? At least here in the United States. I would almost guarantee you in England, black folks over there have been the most, or were the most affected there. The whole subprime mortgage practice was one of the most devastating thing that really displaced a lot of black folks. And black folks were targeted for this. Let me tell you how that worked. Back in 2005, when this whole thing was just starting, see, the black banks came up with a clever idea. And the idea was to expand the real estate portfolio. And so they pulled a report. And the report they pulled was, they first pulled one aspect of group of people who had properties and who historically paid their bills on time and paid their mortgages on time. Who do you think those people were? Okay, so white people. And then they pulled, and it talked about how they can then up people in to buy homes. And the way they calculated this was that these sets of group of people who pay their mortgages on time will more than make up for any once in a while defaults that might come up with these other people that they put into the real estate portfolio, which is why black folks and Hispanics were targeted with this. I know this because I was also reached out on. This it was a real estate agent that aggressively tried to get me to buy into these variable rates back then when I lived in New York. Okay, because they knew that black folks, and they made this a trend that if they just put a shiny object to black folks, and the allure of owning a home was attractive to most people, not just black folks, most people. But they knew that people working as custodians, or people who were cleaners, who had very low paying jobs, would jump and seize on the opportunity to own a home. And so these were the people they targeted. Okay, and they targeted with variable rates. Many of them didn't know what that was. A lot of the real estate agents and a lot of those people that were selling that, the mortgage lenders back then, were just opting in for the commission. And I remember when I was told, and I was sold that nonsense. The agent at the time was telling me this, and I was asking an intelligent question like, hold on a second, how are you going to be able to predict what the market is going to do 5 years from now? He tells me this. This is what he says. I've been in this business for I think he said 15 years. Okay? And I've seen variable rate. I've done credit cards. Even with the worst time in the market, you're not going to pay more than $100 on top of whatever your mortgage rate is. This is what he was telling me, and this is what was sold to a lot of people. See, I was smart back then to know about variable rates, and I wasn't going to allow myself to be really pressured into that nonsense. See, I was smart and savvy enough, and I told him, please, take this away from me. I'm not going to be bamboozled into this. He didn't give up. He kept calling to try to sell me this. I would get voicemail because he was determined to get that commission. Now, this is the type of thing they sold to a lot of black people, and many people opted into this. And now we've since known what happened, because that caused a lot of cascading effects. See, what they didn't anticipate was the cascading pancake effect that was going to cause in the financial and housing market, which we've all known has since happened, that caused the 2008 recession, that many black folks today still have that on their credit and will never be able to own homes. Okay, so that's one. The other part of it is the most recent one that we all can attest to, which is the cryptocurrency saga. The whole crypto this, crypto that. Black folks were so, this is just like back in the housing market. MySpace was the platform at the time in 2005, 2006, that most of these nonsense were being promoted on. Nowadays, we go on YouTube with the crypto thing. Crypto this, crypto that. Black folks became automatic experts on crypto. If you tuned into panels where you saw black folks, they were experts on crypto. Even when the rest of the world didn't know what the hell that was, black folks knew what crypto was. At least they thought they did. And they were selling this nonsense. Okay? They were selling this whole idea to a lot of black folk who bought into that. You even found, there was even one particular black scholar, I'm not going to name his name, who was all over the internet, crypto this, crypto that. Now, is crypto going to be something in the future later on? Perhaps. I'm not against crypto. However, it was unstable when it came up. It was a trend that most black people bought into. A lot of people bought into it too, but a lot of black people bought into it. And now we've seen where that is. People lost their money on that. Okay. These are the two trends that I wanted to show you. So chasing trend has never been good. Not to mention the whole idea of going to Ghana. That's another trend. Okay. Again, never mind that. Again, I say this with humility. Ghana, and I hope that Ghana repairs its economy. But right now, and for a long time, Ghana's economy has really been in a free fall. It was going through a hard time prior to 2009 when the year of return was announced, and has really been fragile in terms of the economy. But nonetheless, it was marketed out. And a lot of people have since gone to Ghana and are still promoting that, even while many have come back, because they found that the lifestyle in Ghana, which is what I'm going to go over today, was not what they were sold. And they saw that they weren't prepared for what they met in Ghana, and many have come back. That was a trend also that people bought into. So the point I'm telling you is that you're going to need to leave that behind. Leave this whole idea of chasing trends. See, I've begun using black folks as a litmus test. For me personally, when I see black folks gathering here, I go the opposite way. Because the track record of black folks when it comes to trend chasing hasn't been good. So when I see black folks gathering here, I go the opposite way. It is how I've been able to maintain my wealth, it's how I've been able to maintain success, and I've been able to grow as a person. I am telling you right now, if you're going to succeed, you're going to leave these two things behind. Your European mindset and the colonial mindset, and you're going to need to leave behind the need to chase trends. Okay. So let's now that we've established that, let's talk about how to get ready for your trip to Africa. As I mentioned earlier on, it's a 10-year plan. So this is what you're going to need to do, because I'm going to show you a lot of things. The first thing you need to do is, when you've discovered the country you want to go to, never mind whatever country that is, whether it's Nigeria, whether it's Zimbabwe, whether it is Rwanda, whether it is Kenya, whatever that country is, only you and you alone will know what that country is. Again, don't chase trend. Just because everyone is going to one particular country, you think that that's for you. That is not. And we're seeing a lot of people coming back. Okay. Once you've decided the country you want to go to, there are two important people that are going to play a pivotal role in your transition to that country. Two important people. Pay attention. The first one would be, you find members or people from that country that live in the city, state, or the country that you're in. So if you live in the United States, and let's say, for example, you're planning on going to Nigeria for a second, you find Nigerians. They're all over the place. You become friends with them. You partner with them. And you begin asking questions like, how is it over there? Stay away from the rhetoric. Okay, I'm going to talk about misdirection later on. We're going to talk about how misdirection is a tactic used by the West to deter black folks from going to the motherland. I'm going to talk about that. So stay away from that. Okay? Ask them about that. And it could just be any country. How is it over there? Now, the good thing, and the reason why I'm saying that, is that when you find people from that place, they'll tell you the good and the bad thing about the country. Hopefully, they don't go on and on about the bad stuff about their country, because obviously there's a reason why here. Hopefully, they brag about the great culture and the great things about their country. You want to ask great questions like, how do you survive there? Where are the good places to live? What is the culture like? We want to ask this question, and they'll tell you. They will brag about it. I'm telling you, most Nigerians, at least I can speak of Nigerians, and I think it's the same with many other African countries, will brag about their country. And they'll tell you how they grew up. You want to get that. You want to partner with those people. Next, you want to partner. The second person you want to partner with are African Americans like yourself who have moved to the country you're trying to go to. Now, here's the one person. Here's what you want to use as a filtering mechanism. You don't want to partner with anyone that just went there 2, 3 years, 4 years ago. No. You want to partner with someone that's been there 10 years plus. Because 10 years plus in anywhere says that you've established yourself. There is no amount of proof that you are established in a particular place but time. Time is the one thing that will tell you that you've been established. If you've been in a place, whether it's state in the United States or a country, 10 years plus, it says a lot about your being there. It says that you've learned some things. You know how things operate there. Okay, stability is 10 years plus. You want to find someone that's been there 10 years plus, not someone that's been there 4, 5 years, 6 years. They're still trying to figure it out. Okay, stay away from those ones. 10 years plus, because these people are going to tell you what's going on the ground over there. They're going to give you the lay of the land. Okay, so these are the two people that you want to partner with. Okay, you can find them on all over the place. Facebook groups, you can find them. Those are you're gonna need to do some homework here. Okay, now when you've done this, here's how you begin to prepare. The first thing you want to do is start setting money aside that you're going to need to live on in Africa. You're going to need money that will sustain you for at least 1 year minimum. 1 year. And I'm going to show you how to save that money. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is go open up a brokerage account. Vanguard, Charles Schwab, whatever. See, I own two of these. I have a Vanguard and I have a Charles Schwab. I'm telling you what I've been doing for years now. Okay, open up a brokerage account. Now, why a brokerage account? Because you're gonna need to save money. Okay, you will need to set aside a minimum $100 a month. If you can do more, fine. But I chose $100 because I think that is doable for most people, without it interfering on your day-to-day aspect of life, because you've got credit card bills, you've got rent, mortgage, car loan, you got things. You can put aside $100. Okay, if you can't put aside $100 a month, you are in a financial problem. Okay, so you put aside $100 a month, you put it into a brokerage account. Why a brokerage account and not a savings account? Because savings account, the interest rate there are poo-poo. You don't want to do that. You want something that grows your money. You want to find preferably a fund that is stable. Okay, you put that aside. $100 a month. In a year, $1,200. In 10 years, you're looking at $12,500 without any gains. And when you put in a brokerage account, chances are you're going to have gains, because the market is going to fluctuate. You're going to have ups and downs, ups and downs and all that. No one can predict that. But chances are you're going to walk away with much more than $12,500, I should say, after 10 years or in 10 years. So you might be clocking around 20,000, if not more. That is your the money you're going to use to move to Africa. Okay, it's not going to displace everything else here, because you still got to live here. Things are going to happen. You just need that money aside. Okay, that's your moving money, okay, to Africa. Now, within that 10 years, you're going to need to take a trip to the country that you want to go to. Okay? Don't just watch videos on YouTube and think you're going to go off of that. There's nothing more beneficial and much vital to your knowledge and discovery than when you actually go to the place that you want to go to. You have to go there, step your foot and your feet on the ground, right? Touch the soil over there. Okay, that is going to be beneficial. Here's why that is going to be beneficial. Because by then, you've hopefully made a contact with one of your own African American that's living in that country. Hopefully he or she welcomes you. You go over there, take a trip over there. Spend a week. You're going to have to spend a week plus, because, the trips to Africa, they're not cheap. Not cheap. It's not like going to, Kansas from the United States, or going to one of the states here where you spend a $300 round trip ticket, or you spend $500 round trip ticket. It's not. You're going to spend at least $1,500, depending on where you're going to, right? So it's going to be a savings here. You put that on your credit card. Or if you want to save it, you can save that amount, fine. But most chances are you're probably not going to be able to save $1,500. You put that on a credit card, which you're going to need to pay that off before your next trip, because you're going to need to do 2-3 trips in the next 10 years. So put that on your credit card. If you can save it, but not put it on a credit card, because you're going to pay that off. You go over there, right? You see your friend or he or she that's living there. Be sure when you go over there, this is very important, because you're thinking about moving there, okay, that you don't take your fancy clothes, your little Gucci, your little Jordans, or whatever the hell you wear here. You don't take it over there, okay? It's not important. right? Take some nice clothes, but you don't need to go ahead and be flashy. Why? It's not because you're going to get robbed over there. That's not what I'm saying. This is not, no one's going to rob you over there. So, okay, leave your European mindset behind. That's not what it says. You want to be able to blend in as much as possible. As a matter of fact, when you get there, the first thing you want to tell your friend, take you to the flea market. Okay, take you to where they buy regular clothes. You don't have to get crazy with it by wearing the native clothes. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Wear regular clothes, but you want to blend in. Why is that important? Because you're going to be doing discovery. You're going to be asking questions. You're going to be asking, hey, where's a good place to live in? If they don't see you as one of their own, they're not going to give you that information. If they don't see you as somebody that relates and look like them, you're not going to get that information. They're going to look at you as a foreigner. They're going to look at you as someone who is in a privileged position coming down here, and you're going to attract the wrong type of attention, right? So that's why you want to blend in as possible. You're going to find that you're going to get people adopt you. You're going to make a lot of more friends than that. If you show up looking like you are a celebrity, no one is going to want to be around you. You'll find people that will just be there for the wrong reason. They'll be around you for the wrong reason. You want people that will be around you for the right reason. They relate to you. They see you as somebody like one of them. They'll give you a lot of information. So you want to get information. You're doing discovery. And then when you go out at night, you can wear your little fancy stuff and go ahead and have a good time, nightlife or whatever. You enjoy yourself. You're there a whole week, right? But use your head. Use your head. So you do that. When you come back, you might have about 20 numbers. Okay, you want to have like contact information, which you're going to need to keep in contact with a lot of these people through WhatsApp. So if you don't know what WhatsApp is, go find one. Open up a WhatsApp account. It's free. Okay, you're going to need to talk to these people. Now, your 20 names on your list is going to dwindle down because you're going to start to find that these people are going to ask you for money. Never send anybody money. Let me repeat that again. Never send anyone. I don't care what story they come up with. I don't care how emotional they get. Do not send anyone that you met over there money. Do not transfer money. Do not email. Do not do it. Okay? So you'll find that you're going to get these people solicit you for money. Okay? Don't ever do it. So as a matter of fact, start blocking people. Okay? So the names on your list is going to start dwindling down to where you may just find out of the 20 people you came back when you came, you had on the list, you have like 2 people left. That's what you need. You need 2 people or 1 that you know you can trust. Okay? So now you're year 3, year 4. You go back there again. You do the same thing. You come back with a list, and that dwindles down to like maybe 2 people, 2 or 3 people. Now you're in your 8th year, about to make your final trip to Africa. You're in your 8th, going on to your 10th year. You've got names of people that you've communicated with for years. People come in, people go. You have people that you've trusted. Again, no matter how much you trust people, do not send anybody money. Okay? Don't do it. It's a common sense practice that you need to really adopt. Don't send any money, whether you live in the States, in the United States, don't send money. Don't do it. If it's a family member, great. That's what you can do. But someone that is not your family member, I don't care how you connected with them, don't send anybody money. Okay? You need to go over there and spend the money yourself. You take the money, go over there, see what you're spending money on, and pay that stuff in. Okay. So chances are at the 8th year now, you're ready to move over there. You either have a property that you're going to rent over there, or you have a house whatever the situation is. You're ready to move over there. Here's what you need to remember. When you are moving from here over there, it is important that you don't rob the bank in the United States. Let me repeat that again. When you're finally moving from the U.S. to Africa, it is important that you don't rob the bank here, moving to Africa, okay? Because you find silly people that tell themselves, I'm going to move to a country, and they'll max out credit cards. They'll go get a credit card and max it out because they tell themselves, I will never come up here, and that's robbing the bank. You never want to be that person. You want to pay off your credit card debt. You want to pay off your student loan debt, if you have one. You want to pay off your car loan debt. You want to have a clean bill when you go to Africa. Why is that important? Because when you go over there, year 8, year 10, you're over there. You spend 5 years in Africa, and you find out that Africa really isn't for you like you thought it was. You're going to need to come back to the United States or wherever you left from, whether it's England. You're going to want to come back. And if you come back and you know the system in these countries, whether it's here in the US or over there in England, you come back with a debt that you maxed out that you probably have forgotten at this point. With the interest rate and with all this charged off that's on that, it messes up your credit. You're not going to have a financial stability or financial future. You come back with that stuff. Not to mention it's illegal. Okay? So you want to think these things through. You want to come back, if you decide to come back, with a clean bill. Okay? And then you want to pick up your life wherever you left it. Now that's why it's important that you leave with a clean bill. Okay? You go to Africa. You explore the options. Hopefully you're not going to come back. I guarantee you're not going to come back if you go follow this blueprint. However, if you leave, make sure you leave with a clean bill. Okay. Now, let's talk about when you get to Africa. Let me tell you what you're going to find in Africa, which is going to blow your mind. And when you get there, you're most likely not going to come back. If you follow it the way I've told you, you're not going to come back. Because the ones that we're seeing coming back are the ones that didn't follow a detailed plan. Okay, they just went there on a knee-jerk reaction, on an emotional thing, on a trend. For those that logically went there, if you find Africans that are living in Africa, or you find African Americans or anyone else that have lived in Africa and are still there 10 years plus, you couldn't pay these people to come here. You're going to discover why they will never trade their life in Africa for the life here in the US. Let me tell you why that is. See, most of us who live in the United States, and the reason why most of us come here is because we're sold a bill of goods. And the problem with black folks, in addition to all this stuff I've just talked about, is that black folks always think the grass is greener somewhere else. See, black folks are the only one that you can put them in paradise, and black folks will look across the street and say, that part right there is better than where I am. Black folks are the only ones, which is why the West and the Western culture always know that there's two things that they can always fool us with. Trend, and tell us that the grass is greener here, greener on the other side than where we are. Black folks are the only one. It's the reason why many people, even in Nigeria, will sell their stuff and come up here and become slave to the financial system here. It's the reason why a lot of us that are here are slave to the financial system, because we think somehow, here, the grass is greener here. When you go over there, you're going to find out that the stuff that has really given you heartache, heart attack, pressure, displeasure, discomfort, the stuff that many of us suffer here and causes diabetes, high blood pressure, you're not going to find that over there. One of the key things that you're going to enjoy over there is waking up amongst people that look like you. There is a currency and there's a value around that, which is the same that most white folks enjoy in this country. See, when white folks go to this gas station, when they go to anywhere, when they wake up every day, they don't have to defend their whiteness. So there's a certain type of boldness and confidence that comes with that. That they walk in the room and they feel like they own the place, because most people, no one has to judge them or judge or question who they are, or question their identity. That is the feeling that you're going to find when you go to Africa. You're going to find that everyone is like you. People are going to smile at you. You're going to wake up every day, and the last thing you're going to do is defend your identity. That's why they're over there. Okay? You're also going to find out that you're much more likely to advance spiritually, emotionally, and financially when you don't have a lot of those pressures bugging you down. Now, Africa's got challenges, okay? But so does the West. Okay? Now, what the West has sold you, because they know when you go over there, you're not going to want to come back, is they've used this practice of misdirection. Okay. What is misdirection? Misdirection is a strategy that even magicians use today, and they've always used. This is why magicians will never tell you the trick. Essentially, look here. Look at my hands right here. Okay? Most of you right now are looking at my hands. And while a good magician, while he's doing that, does something here with the other hand. This is how they're able to hide a lot of the tricks from you. It's called misdirection. Don't go here. Do not go to this place, because this place has a lot of diseases, has a lot of violence going over there. This place is not safe. Don't go here. And so what most people tell you when you hear that, which are most black folks, is that they stay away from that. And then you have white Europeans and white folks go in there and steal the resources of those places from the indigenous. Have you ever asked yourself the question, why it is that black folks in Africa will never be left alone by white people. Have you ever asked yourself the same question? Because I've certainly asked that question. How is it that when I go to Nigeria to go visit my parents, when I take the plane from London to Nigeria, to Lagos, that plane is always, at least has about 20 to 30 white people on that plane. What are they doing in Nigeria? What are they doing there? Because these people are not there for vacation. In Nigeria, as much as I love Nigeria and I would like to think Nigeria is a vacation hub, Nigeria is not a vacation hub. They're going over there to make money. They're going over to live. They're going over there to establish themselves. Now, how is it possible that the same people that have put this propaganda out there about Africa being an unsafe place, and they've told, and Africans have bought into that nonsense and have left their land, how is it these people are over there? Misdirection. So what you'll find when you go over there is the reason why they sold you that lie is because they don't want you to come in and defend or fight them off the resources in Africa. They want you to be out here being bogged down with death, being bogged down with artificial success, being bogged down by a whole lot of the facade that most of us have come to know. Why they take the true wealth from a lot of the countries that many of us come from. And you're going to find, more importantly, that it was the best decision you ever made. Now, the reason why it took you 10 years to find it out is because 10 years, when you've been in a country like the United States, whether you were born in the country or whether you migrated in the country, you were plugged into a system. And I said again earlier on, if you've been in a country 10 years plus, you've become plugged into that system, whether you like it or not. It's going to take you a while to peel yourself out of it. It's going to take you a while to unplug yourself away from it. That's why it's a 10-year plan. But when you do it, you'll find out that it was the best decision you've ever made. Now, I want to conclude this by telling you that there's a book that I will recommend, who is written by a gentleman whose name is Joseph Mbele. And I'm going to link his book, where he goes into much detail about this whole thing, about moving to Africa, how to encounter the culture. It's a fascinating read. You want to read books like that, I'm going to link it down below so you can go ahead and read that. It'll give you much more information, especially if you're an African American living in this country. You want to understand how it is to really assimilate another culture. And you do want to learn that, because you're going to find a cultural clash and a cultural differences when you move to that culture. It's essentially what we all had to do when we left Africa to come here. We have to learn this. Okay? So when you go over there, you learn the culture over there. You learn how to speak. Leave behind your European talk. You want to leave that behind as best as possible. You want to learn how, we're talking about when you get there now, you want to learn how people talk over there. You want to pronounce things the way they pronounce. You want to enunciate things the way they enunciate. It's going to take a while, but you want to do that because it's going to benefit you long term. Now, you don't want to abandon your life in the United States because you're going to travel back here. Chances are you're going to have family here that isn't going to move with you. You're going to have, parents, grandparents that are here. You're still going to need to be back here to visit. But your new life now is in Africa, and you want to be able to blend in there. It'll be the best decision you ever made. I guarantee you that. Now, why do I know this? I know this because, like I told you earlier on, I was born on the continent. My best years in life, and I'll tell you this, my best years outside of my family that I have in the United States, outside of my wife and kids, which nothing can top that. My best years outside of that was when I lived in Nigeria. Those were my best years. I look back at those moments and I just yearn for that, because the community that I was surrounded by, the weather, the way I grew up, I look back at those days and I just yearn for that. Those are my best years outside of my years with my family here were the best. That's why I know that you're not going to want to come back. You're not going to trade it for anything. However, it's going to take a lot of working to pull yourself out of a system that you've been plugged in for years. So I wanted to do this video because I think it's important that people understand this, that when you're making a transition from the United States or from England to Africa, that you want to do it, you want to be logical about it. Okay? It's not for everyone. Not everyone is going to be able to make that transition. Not everyone's going to be able to stay the course, to be able to move from the United States or England or Germany or wherever you are in the world to Africa. However, Africa is the best option for most black people. It is. Which is why every European country, whether it's a European country or whether it's Asia, they won't leave Africa alone. See, Africa is the only place, the only continent that never bothered any other person. See, this is why everyone else needs Africa. See, that's the thing that you don't understand. It's the oxymoron. Everyone else needs Africa. Africa doesn't need everyone. But the marketing that's do, Africa needs everyone. Africa wasn't the continent that ventured out to conquer everyone else. People came to Africa for their resources. And they're still in Africa today for their resources. And have denied those resources to those people and have made marketing strategy change the mind of the people to make them feel inferior to think that they need the other. Africa has always been a healing for others. See, when Europe was going through the Black Plague, during the 1300s and the stuff that ravaged England all the way into the 1600s, Queen Elizabeth I, where do you think she sent people to go find remedy and cure for this disease that was ravaging their land? They went to Africa. Okay? A lot of this stuff didn't happen in Africa. A lot of the plagues that we all know about didn't happen in Africa. The Black Plague, Spanish flu, the one that just happened last, the one that we all just kind of came out of, HIV. But then they will tell you that it all came from Africa. It didn't come from Africa. These came out of these shores out of Africa. And the funny thing about this whole thing, in terms of even the plague that we just suffered right now, is that when you count all the countries and all the cases and death on the continent, and you pile them all together, it pales in comparison to all the deaths and cases that happen in one country here in the United States. If you gather all the countries, all the cases, with all the countries in Africa, and you pile them all together, it pales in comparison to all the deaths and all the cases that happen here in the United States, just here in the United States. With all the so-called great health care that we have in this country, and the U.S. does have great health care. With all so-called Africa is impoverished, and see, that's the part I don't want to tell you, is that Africa was able to handle those cases much better than every other Western countries. Why? Because Africa is a healing place. And the West have always known this for years, which is why they will never leave Africa alone. See, Africa doesn't need the West. The West needs Africa. And that's something that most of you, it might be shocking to hear that. The West needs Africa. Africa doesn't need the West. They will never leave that continent alone. See, when everything is all said and done, and the West and Asia, and they all battle it out and they all destroy each other, the one continent that'll be left standing when all this is all over is going to be the continent of Africa. All right, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and I'll see you all. Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för dig, baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger all min tid och jag vill ha dig. Du får mig känna safety. Vi kan nog leda, baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig. Aldrig kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än dig. Aldrig kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än dig. Varje gång jag bak på dig, jag tänker vilket kap jag har gjort. Jag skulle gå tillbaks i tid, göra om allt igen och förstå. Ser det som ett allt, det är dig jag vill wifa. De här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. På det jag lägger all min tid och jag vill ha dig. Du får mig känna safety. Jag kan nog leda, baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig. Aldrig kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än dig. Aldrig kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än